Funding for Georgia Outdoors has been made possible in part by the Imlay Foundation and from viewers like you.
Through the years of producing Georgia Outdoors, I've had many encounters with wildlife. I thought you might like to see some of my favorites. I have been jumped.
I mean, he's a tree frog, but if you can tell, he's kind of warty for a tree frog. Whoop. He's on your hat.
Bumped. You mess with my hat, buddy. Oh. He is big.
Feel how strong he is?
Yes, I do. And had a chunk taken out of my hand by a nasty bug.
And you don't want to get bitten by this guy. These little diving beetles are quite nasty.
Oh, good to know.
Well, it rained last night and
what about this beetle? Does he bite?
No.
Okay. All right. Oh. Oh, yes, he does!
He does? I didn't know he bit. Really? He got you?
Yay, biologist!
You got all that?
Here's a moment that will always stay in my heart. How many people get to hold a baby bear? This is truly the cutest animal I have seen. I got to be close and personal with coyotes. All right, in the pen with Coyote. I couldn't get enough of Carmine, and he kept coming back to me. Are you a good boy? Are you a good boy? Are you a good boy? Huh? Are you a good boy? I think you are. I think you're a good boy. Yes, I know. That trot is what I get a kick out of. You guys don't walk. We spent about an hour with the coyotes. At times, they were playful. Wiley spent time sunning herself. But this is what surprised everyone. Carmine, the wild coyote, trusting me this much. Because I love bats, I received a series of 3 rabies shots so that I could handle them. I think they are beautiful. Wow, that is a big bat.
Whoops, give me that. I wanted you to see your thumb. Can you poke your thumb out? There's her thumb.
There's a thumb.
And Isis has a thumb band on, so I know which bat she is. I have a total of 4.
Okay.
So, but you can see the whole little
Beautiful.
wing thing, and you can probably look through the wing if you're on this side and actually see
I can.
some of the veins
the
and
joints.
you can see the
and
joints
her
there.
arm, you know, she's big enough I can actually see her
See
arm.
that a little easier than on the micros.
Vicki Beckham Smith is a wildlife educator, which is the reason she's allowed to own bats. It is only because I've been vaccinated for rabies that she's letting me hold one. If her bat bit me and I was not protected, authorities would kill this bat to check for rabies. You're beautiful. Her name is Isis. She's shivering because we just woke her up. Bats sleep during the day, and being disrupted is similar to having the smoke alarm go off in your house at 3 o'clock in the morning. Even so, Isis was doing fine until Vicki brought out a second bat.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't go anywhere.
Hang tight.
Yep,
Would we
you did great. You can support her that way, and sometimes... There you go, Miss Phaedra. Yeah. And sometimes I just let them sit up on my hand like this if that supports them and makes them feel good. Yeah, there you are.
Now, we don't have this kind of bat in Georgia. Instead, we have 16 species of smaller bats with an equally important role. Bats are everywhere, whooshing by our heads and moving so fast it is almost impossible to see their wings move. This is incredible.
Told you it was nice down here.
I just love the fact that they're flying in between us and they're just everywhere.
Yeah, and they're going up and looking for food right away.
Thousands of southeastern bats are coming out to feed, looking for insects, searching for water. They've been fasting all day, and many of them have babies to feed.
Did they make milk from, how do they feed their babies?
Yeah, when the pups, that's what a baby bat is called, it's a pup. When they're really young, they need mother's milk, just like most mammals. They need that lactation. So yeah, bats will produce milk.
It is sometimes hard to remember that these are indeed mammals. Not even a bird can fly like this. I feel their wings graze the side of my face a few times, but they never actually bump into my body.
And they're really amazing acrobats in the air.
We're going to slow things down a bit, frame by frame, so you can see what's happening. It is still so fast, the bat looks like a blur. When you are surrounded by them, it seems more magic than science. Jay brings up a bat so we can see it closer.
Sometimes they're hard to hand off.
Hey, buddy. And this is a southeastern bat, right?
Yep. And this little bit down here, that's actually his thumb, that little claw right there. And that's what they primarily use for climbing around the rocks.
It's amazing to see them flying around and then... Well, thank you for the privilege.
You bet. And did you want to check to see if that's a juvenile?
Yeah.
Here, I can take my light off, because we have to shine underneath. With juveniles, there's a break in the bone that hasn't completely calcified yet. And as they mature, that will fill in.
Yeah, I can see. I don't see one, do you?
I don't see one. This is an adult. I didn't check for the sex yet, but here she's probably hungry, so we should probably let her go.
Ready?
And just open your fingers and she'll fly off. There she goes.
Wow.
Excellent.
Very cool. They're so incredible.
Yeah, they really are. They're amazing, amazing critters.
From bats to snakes. Southeast is home to some of the most beautiful snakes in the world, and this is your chance to see many of them up close. We met Whit Gibbons, co-author of a book on snakes and professor of ecology at UGA's Savannah River Ecology Lab near Augusta. Gibbons says these reptiles are not harmful if you leave them alone.
There's nothing to fear about most snakes, and you have to be careful. It's like dealing with electricity. We all use electricity, and it can kill us if we don't use it right. You don't pick up a rattlesnake. You don't pester it. I've met several people that have missing limbs, or digits rather, and have scars from trying to kill a diamondback rattlesnake that was going down a hole. And these people tried to kill it, and they didn't have to. They chased it, and it turned around and bit them.
This corn snake could bite me, but they tend to be docile. It is a common snake that is absolutely gorgeous, and it can be found throughout the Southeast. It gets the name corn snake in part because of the unique design on its belly, which is said to look like Indian corn. It is also known to hang around corn bins since it feeds on rats and mice.
Any knowledgeable farmer, I've talked to many of them in Georgia, they're not going to kill a corn snake or a rat snake. They know they're out there doing a job they don't have to do.
Corn snakes are a species of rat snake, and rat snakes are found in several colors in several climates. They are major predators in the animal world, and without them, we would see a huge increase in the rodent population. King snakes are equally important in keeping the ecosystem balanced.
King snakes will eat a wide variety of animals. They'll eat other snakes, including the venomous species, and they are immune to the venom of the pit vipers, copperheads, rattlesnakes, cottonmouths. A king snake can eat one of those. If the pit viper bites the king snake, it's okay. It's immune to the venom. It won't kill it. It'll just constrict it, kill the rattlesnake, say, turn around and eat it.
There is another snake that eats venomous snakes. This is Drymarchon cooperi. In Latin, Drymarchon roughly translates into Lord of the Forest, ruler, commander. A powerful name for something that doesn't roar or stampede through the jungle. But this is no ordinary snake. Zoologist Dirk Stevens first introduced me to this massive snake.
Why is this such an important species to this part of Georgia?
The indigo is a remarkable snake, and it's an iconic, handsome snake. As you can see, it is the longest snake in North America. The record is over 8.5 feet. This is not a full-grown indigo male by any stretch of the imagination. They come much, much bigger. And it really captures the wilderness of southern Georgia. Places where indigos still occur tend to be very wild, vast, undisturbed habitats.
They like to eat venomous snakes. So much so that when indigos disappeared from Alabama, copperhead snakes increased significantly.
They find the snakes and they rapidly crawl up to their head and chew on their head and kill them, and then they swallow them head first. In the ecology of these habitats, they really put a hurting on vipers and other venomous snakes.
Just walk by it.
We joined Chris Jenkins and researcher Brian Hudson in search of timber rattlesnakes in the Georgia mountains. You are about to see something rare. Not only are the timber rattlers here, they just had babies. Unlike indigos, rattlesnakes give birth to live young. But to catch them basking on the rocks like this is a special moment. Normally, they would disappear at our approach. You think they know we're here?
Absolutely, definitely.
One of my most meaningful encounters occurred on Ossabaw Island. The memory of this journey will always stay with me. Scientists call her Coretta Coretta, and this is her destiny. She is driven from the water by instinct. It takes great effort to drag her body across the sand. When she finally finds a safe spot above the reach of ocean waves, she is tired. But the urge to lay her eggs is overwhelming. She begins to dig. To do anything less is to risk extinction. Coretta Coretta, better known as Loggerhead. To show you these amazing reptiles, we teamed up with biologist Mark Dodd, who heads the sea turtle program for the Department of Natural Resources. It was decided that Ossabaw Island would give us the best shot to actually capture video of a nesting loggerhead.
So why Ossabaw?
Well,
we came to Ossabaw because it's one of our 3 main loggerhead nesting beaches. Those include Cumberland, Ossabaw, and Blackbeard. So for one reason, it's a place where we know we're going to have a lot of turtle nesting. It's also a place where there's no development, and it's turtles have been doing their thing at night, completely undisturbed since the beginning of time.
There is another reason. You can count the number of people who live here on one hand. And that means no artificial lights on the beach, which confuse nesting turtles and their babies. We spend hours riding up and down the beach, hoping to see a nesting loggerhead.
So I'm just looking for the hump, right?
Yeah, you're looking for something big coming out of the water, and I'm gonna just survey looking forward down the beach.
One night, we searched the beach from 8 o'clock at night until 6 o'clock the next morning. No turtles.
No crawls.
No, nothing so far.
Then, a week later, we see crawl tracks. Follow them, and there she is. Mark makes a rare exception and allows us to use light to capture this video because of its value as an educational tool. Our girl doesn't seem to mind at all. She uses those back flippers like a hand, digging down as far as she can, pulling out sand, then casting it away. She will create a pit deep enough to hold an average of 100 eggs or more. While she's preoccupied, we are able to belly up beside her.
Is this a Georgia turtle?
So yeah, it is. It's a Georgia turtle, and you know, Georgia loggerheads have a pretty fantastic natural history, and it starts and ends right here on a Georgia beach. So, you know, we're on Ossabaw Island. It's mid-July, and this is a turtle that probably hatched from an egg either on this island or on a nearby island.
She is not extremely large for a loggerhead, but they don't become sexually mature until the age of 30 or 35 years. So we know she's been out in the ocean for a long time. This may well be her first nest. The eggs are like rubbery ping pong balls. As they begin to pile up, you realize what a miracle of nature this is. Within the next month, she will dig on average 4 more nests and lay about 100 eggs every time.
Does she know we're here?
She probably knows we're here, but she's so committed to finishing that she's gonna complete the nest regardless of our presence. And so what she's doing now is she's just finishing up trying to camouflage the nest. So obviously she's throwing a lot of sand in our face and using her front flippers and her back flippers to throw sand around to try to camouflage the nest so predators won't be able to find it and dig up the eggs and eat them.
We don't move until she does. And then we follow her out to sea. She stops often to rest. She's hauling the equivalent weight of a refrigerator across the sand, using only her flippers.
Yeah, she's tired, and obviously she's not built to move quickly on the land. They're really graceful in the water and you know, move fairly easily, but on land they're heavy and they don't have the skeletal structure or the muscles to move quickly, so it's definitely a struggle.
Clumsy on land, loggerheads are extremely graceful underwater. This is where they live. The only time you see them on land is if they're nesting, stranded, or injured, which means you rarely see a male. It is the largest hard-shelled turtle in the world, and its name comes from that big blocky head designed for crushing things like crabs and lobsters. It is an oddity of nature that females return to their birthplace to lay eggs. Thousands upon thousands of loggerheads have been born on the coast of Georgia. Occasionally, we catch the turtle dance when they rock their bodies back and forth to pack down the sand. And always, there is that slow crawl back to the ocean. Researchers put a tag on loggerheads whenever possible.
Scales. We'll put it in the first big scale here, next to the body. Put this on here.
Oh, she didn't like that.
Didn't like that.
But that tag plays an important role. There is a huge worldwide network of people who monitor beaches during nesting season. These tags are like a driver's license, letting anyone know where the turtles come from. A second pit tag is placed in her shoulder and will stay there for life.
What do these tags do? How has it helped you all in determining how far these turtles actually go?
Well, probably more importantly, the tags are used on tagging beaches to answer basic biological questions like how many times a season do females nest, how many years between nesting events do they stay out before they come back to the beach, but also it gives us some information on movement patterns as well.
So is she free to go now?
Yep, she's free to go. She's been tagged.
All right, go girl.
Shortly before sun breaks the next morning, we get a chance to see why all of this is worth the effort. Here they come, tiny little packages of pure instinct, programmed to move forward like the Energizer Bunny. One by one, they make their way toward the ocean. Even the smallest thing can be an obstacle. Yet they keep going as if nothing else matters. And that is true. Nothing else does matter. Their only chance of survival is to make it to the ocean. They are drawn to the horizon, which is why artificial light confuses them so much. They go for the surf, and once there, they battle wave after wave until they can hit open water and start their power stroke. They will swim up to 48 hours non-stop until they reach a system of ocean currents known as the North Atlantic Gyre. They drift along in this system, which takes them from Georgia all the way across the Atlantic, down past the west coast of Africa, then back across the equator.
So once they run out of energy, they sort of slow down and they just start to float, and they become essentially planktonic. They're like little pieces of driftwood. They're not really strong enough to swim against the currents and the wind out there, and so they basically are at the mercy of the ocean current patterns.
They will spend the first 8 to 15 years of their life in the high seas, drifting with the seaweed and living off those nutrients.
When you're a small, tiny little loggerhead hatchling, and you know, you're basically a bite-sized food morsel for anything, the majority of the predators are concentrated along the coastlines. And so the best place to be, where you're least likely to be eaten by something, is out in the middle of the ocean where there's less predators.
The ancestors of loggerheads have been around over 100 million years. But because their numbers dropped significantly, they are now protected under federal law and listed as endangered in Georgia. Turtle biologist Archie Carr wrote, "For most of the wild things on Earth, the future must depend upon the conscience of mankind." With the help of many agencies and individuals, loggerheads appear to be stabilizing. But there is still a great deal about their lifespan we don't know. And in many respects, the conservation work has just begun.
Covering wildlife can be bittersweet. For example, most of those baby loggerheads will never make it to adulthood. However, it also does something else. When you're that close to animals and reptiles, you begin to understand how amazing the ecosystem we live in really is. I'm Sharon Collins. We'll see you next time.